Hello everyone and welcome to The Last of Us Part 2 official story trailer reaction. We're doing this live because I feel like it'd be a lot easier to do so and get my thoughts out rather than try to make a video out of it. We before had a discussion stream about The Last of Us Part 2 where we took a look at the previous trailers that came out. And I gave a lot of my thoughts and opinions within like an hour and a half long stream. I felt really passionate about it and I gave a lot of my opinions. So if anybody's curious about that, you can go ahead on my channel and quickly find that. But what we're going to go ahead and do today is basically react and dissect The Last of Us Part 2 official story trailer. Granted, there is a spoiler warning on this video as of right now in the title as well, because I've seen all the leaks and spoilers. I know what's going to happen, and I'm interested to see what this trailer has to offer and whether that even addresses a lot of the concerns that people have based off of these leaks. What I will say to start off, though, is I'm not exactly impressed already, simply because we have here the comments being turned off and we have the ratings being turned off as well. I noticed that Neil Druckmann, the creative director's Naughty Dog video where he just basically thanked the studios who worked on The Last of Us Part 2, and where he announced that The Last of Us Part 2 has gone gold, which essentially means that the game is being printed and created on discs as of currently. That video had a pretty bad like to dislike ratio. And it's interesting to me because we have a lot of people trying to defend Naughty Dog and Sony, trying to pretend that the people who are upset about this game is simply just a minority. I don't think that's the case in this scenario. I will say this. I don't think The Last of Us Part 2 is going to fail. I don't think it's going to fail. I do, however, think it's going to probably miss out on a significant portion of sales that they would have had if they would have, if they didn't do this. Like, I feel like they're still going to miss out on a large chunk of sales that they're not aware of. But I still think the game's still going to do like astronomically well because it's The Last of Us. People have been waiting for this sequel for a long time. Yeah, I wish the story was better too. But yeah, what I'm going to go ahead and do today is basically dissect this trailer, watch it with you guys. It's not exactly for the first time. I was on my phone earlier today when it came out, 10 a.m. my time. Briefly watched it once, didn't really get a chance to look at it fully and talk about some of the aspects of the trailer. So we're going to go ahead and do that today. Alright, so let's take a look. Alrighty, everybody needs to cross your fingers. One thing I have something I'm going to talk about that I realized it wasn't included in this trailer. I want to know if anybody else has also, taken notice. So let's just get into the trailer. I'm going to do bare minimum talking, and then we'll go back through it and talk about a lot of things, like I always do, right? All right, let's see it.
I know you wish things were different.
So we get to see a little bit of the old game, the first game, and new graphics.
But they ain't.
Please stop.
Sony Interactive Entertainment presents Naughty Dog. A lot of these scenes are scenes we've already seen.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
To do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
The game is still visually stunning. That's
So
pretty
they
cool.
just get to get away with this?
How'd you find us?
You can't stop this.
I want what you want. But not at any cost. I really hope you make it.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
We could have killed you.
Maybe you should have.
Alright, The Last of Us Part 2. Okay. Still planned to release on June 19th. I swear, if this game somehow manages at this point to ever get delayed again, I'd be so surprised. Because, like, already I just can't even imagine how this game even planned to have the original release date in February. With how long it has been delayed and how many times it's been. Okay. So that was The Last of Us 2 official story trailer. Knowing the leaks and knowing a lot of the spoilers, which, by the way, again, there are going to be a lot of spoilers in this conversation here. Look, this confirms a lot of the story's spoilers, but at the same time, there is so much important information that Naughty Dog is like purposely avoiding putting in here. Like, the number one thing that stands out to me is that, like, has nobody else noticed that there has been no segment in this trailer that talks about what's it called? The 2017 Paris Games Week trailer. This entire official story trailer does not show anything about any of the characters or moments or scenes from the 2017 Paris Games Week trailer, and I feel like that is intentional. Specifically with all of the backlash. I feel like it's almost like a marketing strategy to calm people from being really upset about the story. Take a look at all the information that they actually even put in here in the first place. The majority of what you see here is either with Ellie or it's including Joel, which to me is super misleading, considering that we know that the whole second half of this game is going to be revolving around Abby and hunting down Ellie's character. So I feel like this entire time not showing Abby's character again since the 2017 trailer is really on purpose, and I think it's supposed to mislead customers and try to like put down their worries and their concerns, make people still want to buy the game. There's no way, I feel like, if the backlash was way less than it was, that these developers would have not included Abby into this trailer. There's just no way. I wouldn't believe that for a second. Another thing I've noticed, this trailer does not showcase Dina that much. Even if at all, actually. All it does is just show more of Ellie and Joel, and then shows a couple of other new characters, but it does not actually show Dina at all either. Which, I can't stress it enough, feels extremely misleading. How are you not going to include any gameplay or any cutscene footage? How are they not going to include any gameplay or cutscene footage from the 2017 Paris Games Week trailer? They're not going to show Abby's character. They're not going to even show Dina much in this trailer at all. I think this is intentional. I feel like they put this together to try to calm worries that Joel and Ellie won't be there in the game. But then it seems also missed the ball, because people are not criticizing the game because there isn't at all going to be Ellie and Joel. People are upset the way that they treat the characters, the way that they treat the original story. And this whole thing feels really, really off. It feels purposefully designed to trick people into buying this game. So I just watched the trailer. We're going to go watch through it again. I'm going to stop and make more comments as we go through the trailer. But I just want everybody to keep that in mind. Just keep in mind that nothing about Abby or the Paris Games Week trailer is in here. And keep in mind that this trailer shows bare minimum of Dina. And also keep in mind, like I showed at the beginning of the stream, the ratings are removed and the comments are turned off. If this does not scream trying to save face, I don't know what that is. I'm just saying. Alright, so let's go back through. Wait, hold on. You got comments? Well, I get that they didn't show gameplay, but this is meant to be a story trailer. I misspoke. I don't mean gameplay. I mean, they're not showing any story elements. Like, Abby is, we obviously know from the spoilers, is going to be a crucial part of the story. Especially if she's going to be killing Joel, and then she's going to be the playable protagonist for the entire second half of the game. I think it's pretty intentional that they're not adding her into this trailer, which is really, really shady in my opinion. But I digress. We'll continue watching this trailer again.
I know you wish things were different.
So this feels like a nostalgia trip. Abby's meant to be a surprise. Look, I don't see it that way. I think they're really trying to avoid spoilers. I think they're really trying to make people believe that this game is going to be a proper sequel to the first Last of Us. Abby is meant to be a surprise. You can they can show her character in the trailer and not spoil anything by doing that. So it doesn't really feed into that surprise. They could add her into this trailer and not show much about her, and then have her still be like a significant surprise. Like it's not making her more of a surprise by not being at all into the trailer, not even for half a second, not even her just standing still. You know what I mean? Like I don't think putting her character for half a second in this trailer, just standing still even, would ruin much of a surprise. Like I think it's done pretty intentionally. So right here, I would assume that what they're trying to do here is provide nostalgia from the first game. They're trying to show the old game, the first game, and newer graphics, obviously to get the nostalgic feeling between these two characters and the relationship. And I feel like that this is also supposed to get more people excited and hyped for the game. But as far as the trailer goes, I like this. I think it's kind of cool to see the older game and new graphics. It's interesting. The characters look pretty great. I don't really have much beef with that issue, with that whole scene there. This is, of course, great. By the way, I want to mention that I think the game technically looks amazing. Graphics look great. Audio is great. Soundtrack's great. I'm sure that the actors are going to be perfectly fine in acting out their characters. I just don't agree with the story. I think many of us don't. Okay, so Joel playing the guitar. He looks a little bit less scruffy than I feel like he did in the first game, but maybe that's just from like the way the old game graphics look. I think this whole new engine or this whole like new graphical upgrade just makes him a little bit more cleaner. Is this where he? Is this where he's supposed to be teaching Ellie how to play the guitar after the first game? If that's the case, I like that. That's kind of cool. It's pretty cool elements. It seems to me that they look like they changed Ellie's character design. Is it just me? I think her face looks slightly different here. I'm just saying. Doesn't exactly look like her character fully from the first, but again, maybe that's just the graphical upgrades. But from what I've seen from the developers and how they treated other characters in this game, I wouldn't be surprised if they changed her character design a little bit.
I wish things were different.
Ellie!
Here we get to see more of Joel's protectiveness of Ellie. Clearly she's thinking about something, which from the spoilers and leaks, this looks like the moment where she talks to Joel probably about the ending, the events ending off the first game, about the Fireflies and her her surgery, what was going on there. Joel, again, remember at the end of the first game, talked about how there was never a cure, that they gave up on making a cure, that there was not going to be a cure. I'm sure this is another element I've seen before where Ellie's probably going to be talking to Joel. Maybe she's thinking about that scenario again, which, by the way, is a little bit interesting to me because by the end of the first game, it seems like Ellie believes Joel and what he's telling her, although he's blatantly lying to the player. Like with the player, we know what happened. Or at least if she believed him enough to just get over what kind of happened. Even if she kind of knew maybe at the end of the first game that maybe he's not including all the details. It's interesting to me that she would bring it up again in the second game. That would tell me that somebody else had to tell her something or inform her that Joel is potentially lying about what happened. So, I mean, because again, like I don't know why after 5 years she would bring it up with Joel again about it, but whatever, right? So we're gonna continue. Before we continue, actually, here's something that's important. Why is Joel's hair much longer than he was in the before trailer? It looks looser, but it looks longer. I don't know if that's just supposed to try to show more of the time skip between the 5 years of the beginning of the first game and now, but I thought in the other trailer his hair was a little bit shorter. Ellie looks fine. More clicker gameplay. as everybody expected. This is supposed to be the Jamestown. This is supposed to be the Jamestown attack, I'm assuming. Where I think this is where Ellie and them try to first get their revenge. Oh, not this scene. Okay. That we already know what happens there from all the leaks. Again, anybody who's joined the stream, hello. Thank you for tuning in. There is going to be a lot of spoilers, so I want to make sure that nobody comes into here without already knowing the spoilers of the game. Okay, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm going to keep talking about spoilers. Okay. So from this scene, we all know what she's looking at here. We all already know what she's looking at here. In this scene, she is looking at Abby beating Joel to death with a golf club in the head. That's tough. That's really going to be tough. Disappointed. Again, a lot of us are pretty much disappointed with this direction, but it's kind of heartbreaking to see this. And to even know the context behind this too now is disappointing.
Please stop.
Sony Interactive Entertainment presents Naughty Dog. Okay. Now this is kind of cool. I never had a problem with this scene. I'm sure you guys can figure that out. I'm not going to say any more words. Joel's character model looks pretty cool here. Ellie, she definitely had an altercation. She has a black eye. Don't know if that was when she was off on her own. Maybe, I don't know if this is when she learns details, maybe about the end of the first game that she wants to talk to him about. I don't know what this is sparking here or what's going on in this context. Because although I've seen a lot of the spoilers, I didn't watch all the cutscenes. I didn't want to do that to myself. And literally watch all the cutscenes. But I do know all the major plot points and leaks and details. I've already seen clips of them, regardless of if I wanted to or not. But interesting moment here. Wow, I love environments like these. Forest environments, lush forest environments. This looks so good.
To do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
We do this smart, we'll be leaving Jackson vulnerable. I don't get the logic behind
To do
that.
this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
What's that supposed to mean? How does doing something smart leave the town vulnerable? That's an interesting comment to make there.
So they just get away with this?
How'd you find us?
Hold on, there's a lot to dissect here.
So they just get away with this?
Okay, another new character, probably one of the enemies that you get to find in the cutscene. Probably won't be any more significant than any other character, maybe. Well, I don't know. Like, you know how like in the first game you had some cutscenes where you get to interact with like actual enemy characters, like when Joel is trying to find out where Ellie is during the winter after he got hurt, and he like broke the person's neck, beat the other guy with the pole, and they had like their own CGI characters. This could be just one of those moments where this character doesn't mean a whole lot, and that he's just an enemy character, or there could be a little bit more deeper of a meaning.
How'd you find us?
Who is this? Where'd you find some earbuds? The apocalypse has been around for over at this point for over 25 years. And this person finds some Apple earbuds. You think that's Manny? Is that the male character? This character looks familiar. I don't know if she's from the 2017 Games Week trailer or if she's related to any of those people. But who knows? We get some more gameplay. Looks pretty interesting. We got some spores.
You can't stop this.
Interesting detail that Ellie's still wearing a mask, even though she's immune. I guess it's because Joel tells her to obviously hide the fact that she is immune, so people don't target her because of that. So she probably is just wearing it just to play it off.
You can't stop this.
Ooh, look at this. Okay, we got what looks like almost some like Walking Dead Telltale inspiration, sewing yourselves up. Not literally. I bet it's pretty. I think it's done. It could be. This whole scene's gonna be done way differently, obviously, but interesting little detail here. She's obviously getting herself into some violent altercations.
I want what you want.
Ooh, look at that. Look at that.
I want what you want.
Dang. The arrows are like split in half too, broken.
But not at any
Okay, Ellie, I see you.
cost.
Dang, those animations are clean. Got another cutscene. What looks like to be more important characters. Don't know who they are though. Considering that this looks like cutscene story footage, I'd imagine that these characters are definitely more important than just your generic enemy. Ooh.
I really hope you make it.
So this is supposed to be Jesse. I think he's supposed to die at some point. In this sequel, from the spoilers. Don't really have too much to comment about this scene. Kind of looked, yeah, he came in kind of clean though. Owen, Abby's boyfriends. Huh. Interesting. So maybe that was Ellie finding, like maybe that whole scene where she had like her gun up, her pistol up, was members of Abby's group that she was going to plan on killing.
I really hope you make it.
Oh, he came in kind of clean. Okay. Okay, I see you, Jesse. Look at him. Ellie, what's wrong? Look at her. What? Ah, that's heartbreaking. Dang, that's heartbreaking. What kind of scene is this? I don't want to see it. This is not my Last of Us 2. I don't know what you're talking about. More action. She's clearly having another conversation with Joel. I don't know if she's still caught up over what happened at the end of the first game. Another character. More characters. More enemies. Probably from the cult groups or Abby's group.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
See, right here. This is the entire. You're telling me with how significant Dina and what's it called? With how significant Dina is to the story and her relationship with Ellie. Why is it
There's a
hidden?
cost.
Why is it hidden? Why is Dina hidden so far beyond just 1 millisecond long screenshot? Like, what is this? What is this? You can't tell me that's not intentional. You got Tommy. It looks like giving Ellie a hug here. Hold
There's a
on.
cost.
This might look like Tommy's giving Ellie a hug after the fact that she saw and witnessed Joel die. It looks like the same jacket. Her hair is pulled back in a bun. This could have been after she escaped, after she was kidnapped by Abby's group. She made her way back to Tommy and her town, and then she plans on then leaving to go take revenge and go after, I guess, Abby or something again. That's disappointing. I feel like the plot beats of this whole story is so whack, Ooh, look at the way she's definitely having some issues with Joel. That's confrontation there. That's the end of a bad argument right there. Another character, don't know who that is. Maybe another character from Abby's group or something. Ooh, this is crazy. Isn't Ellie supposed to be 19 years old? She looks like she's a middle-aged woman in this whole scene. So her hair is down. She's completely bloody. This is clearly not after she spots Joel being dead. But you know what this does look like though? This might look like a cutscene that takes place maybe after she fights Abby towards the end of the game, because I'm pretty sure I recall seeing a spoiler where what's it called where Abby and Ellie get into this fight and Ellie's nose and her face gets beat like crazy, and I didn't really watch the whole thing in one sitting, but this reminds me of that. This reminds me of the end of that. Maybe this is the end of that part afterwards. Maybe right here she's seeing Dina's death or another character's death that she cares about, where she was probably spared by Abby and was told like, hey, I never want to see you again. So this is after she probably gets like literally beaten to a pulp, which is so sad to think about. Oh, look at that.
We could have killed you.
Hi, Chaotic. Dina lives. That I'm curious as to who that would be, because that clearly isn't Joel. It's not in the same scene.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
Wait, number one.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
She's not mouthing the words. So they obviously took two different scenes and fused them together. Number two.
We could have killed you.
Who says that? Who says we could have killed you? That's for someone that's about to die. That is like the most calm way of acting that part out. We could have killed you. Are you not panicked? Are you not about to die or something? My only speculation would be that this probably going to be another character from Abby's group, right? Where maybe like she gets free from being like kidnapped or whatever, she escapes, and then this is probably a moment she has with one of the other characters of the group. What's it called? That she's about ready to kill and take revenge, obviously, for everything that Abby and everything has been taken away from her.
Maybe you should have.
The Last of Us Part 2. So the thing is, knowing a lot of the spoilers, there's so much context that I'm now given. So a lot of the moments in this trailer definitely make sense. And definitely feed into the leaks and spoilers. I feel like the leak and spoilers also give me a lot of context to kind of piece other parts of the story together that we're now seeing. Again, I really find it interesting. That within this whole trailer, Dina is barely shown. She's literally like her back of her head shown for literally half a second. So Dina is barely shown, and I find it ironic or interesting that Abby's entire character is not shown once in this story. Nothing from the whole entire Paris Games Week trailer is shown. This feels like a trailer that's pieced together to try to save face and to calm customers down. This feels like Naughty Dog is trying to get their sales back up and to reduce the backlash by creating a trailer that shows a significant portion of just Joel and Ellie. And we all already know that what's reported is that the first half of the game is supposed to be mainly about Ellie, and that Joel will be in there for a bit. But we also know that the whole second half of the sequel to the first Last of Us, we also know that the second half of the game is going to be about Abby. So it's interesting to me that they seem to be only showing story cutscenes from the first half of the game and nothing about Abby. And I think it's more than just a surprise tactic. I feel like this is supposed to save face. I mean, come on, like look at this. You have to have all these like flashbacks and stuff in it too. It sounds like it's preying on nostalgia. It sounds like it's being manipulative a little bit to try to get people to still buy the game, even though they probably shouldn't. The trailer in of itself is a good trailer, in my opinion. I think a lot of us can agree on that. I think the meaning behind this trailer, and I think some of the actions that Sony and Naughty Dog have taken, especially again, really we had the like to dislike ratio, the ratings turned off, we have the comments turned off. You gotta be joking me here. You can't tell me that that's the case. So interesting. I'm trying to think about what else there probably is to talk about. We kind of watched the trailer. We kind of dissected it a little bit. Seems to be pretty good so far. I think we've pretty much said everything that kind of needs to be said. Got a lot of action scenes. Again, the game technically looks really good. I don't think the gameplay stuff is going to be bad. I think it's going to be really fun. They do people are going to be wild in the comments. They do. But did you see that? What's it called? Did you see Neil Druckmann's video where he gave that announcement that the game went gold? And where he also, like, for PR, praised the game that they made in the company. Like they praised the team for making the game. If you take a look at that video, it literally doesn't address much about the leaks or anything. And that video itself has like an 80-20% like the dislike ratio. It has like 60-some thousand dislikes. It has only like 20,000 likes. Like, that video is getting hated on. So I feel like that probably feeds into why this trailer was also having the ratings turned off so that people couldn't dislike it. It's like they're trying to censor and hide all the leaks and criticism that people have. They're trying to ignore the backlash, and I think they're trying to protect people who haven't been spoiled. Or I think they're trying to protect people who still plan on playing the game. They're trying to protect them from seeing any of the spoilers because they probably don't want those same people to no longer buy the game either. So it feels like they're definitely trying to save face. I wanted to clarify something before I end this stream, okay? A lot of people don't seem to really understand why. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't seem to really understand why people are concerned or upset about this game. I feel like there's so many misconceptions that people have, and so many people try to frame anybody that disagrees with this game to be like a phobe of some sort, to be an ist of some sort. It's kind of, in my opinion, I think it's a bit disgusting. Like, I think it's kind of ridiculous that a lot of these same people who haven't seen any of the spoilers are making these kind of accusations towards people. In fact, I think it's kind of ridiculous that there's a lot of people out there making videos defending Naughty Dog and Sony, because in my opinion, if you haven't spoiled the game for yourself and if you have not seen the leaks, I don't think you really have a position to defend Naughty Dog and Sony. Like, I don't know how you would make a video on that, because a lot of these creators are making videos where they sit there and they defend Naughty Dog and Sony, and what they do is that they say, hey guys, I haven't seen the leaks and plots of the game, but your criticism just means that you're a transphobe, or that you're a homophobe, or maybe you're sexist. Like, I don't get that. If you don't know the story, why are you giving a defense position on it? Because you haven't even seen what happens yet. Like, the people who are levying the criticism toward these companies know the spoilers, they know the plot, they know what's going to happen, so they have an informed opinion to express. So it's like 100% more valid than anybody else's opinion that comes out who has never seen any of the spoilers to be like, actually, this game is going to be good, although I don't know what happens, and you guys do, and also, you guys are a phobe or something. It's kind of stupid. I don't get that logic. I don't get how there's so many content creators that come out with videos defending these companies when they haven't even seen the leaks. If people have seen the leaks and they have something to base criticism off of, how is somebody like you who hasn't seen the leaks going to defend a company with no information? Like, it's kind of weird. You get the defense. I don't get the defense. I genuinely don't get the defense for the game. I just don't. I don't see how people can make content and stuff like that. I also wanted to clarify a lot of people's positions. I know I'm going to sound like I'm speaking on behalf of a lot of people here, but this is the general consensus that I've seen about the game. So this is a lot of people's opinions about The Last of Us 2 that people keep saying to miss, and I'm sure a lot of people are struggling to kind of put it into words. The main issue that people have with The Last of Us 2 is just the plot. Simply the plot. The plot itself and how it's written feels very disrespectful to the first game's relationships, the events. It feels disrespectful to the characters, and it overall feels very disrespectful to the community. But the people who have seen the leaks still don't know the whole story. So actually, we do know the whole story. I think what you're looking for is that people don't know some of the context and details behind. So, like, for example, we know all of the plot beats and important elements of the story, but you're trying to say that there's like gaps between these plot beats, that you're trying to argue that, okay, well, maybe these these gaps between these important story twists will make it better. You gotta do listen. I feel like that is relying on Naughty Dog to have done, like, how do I explain it? With everything that's been leaked, Naughty Dog would have to try to convince the player so hard that Joel and Ellie are villains. Meaning that, like, with how the first game was set up and created, all the players right now have a very positive, pro opinion about these two characters, and we love them. You would have to expect the writers to do such a good job in this game within the first half to try to rewrite and change everybody's opinions about these two characters that we've grown to know and love from the first game. And they would have to do such a good job at somehow villainizing these characters enough where we actually sympathize with Abby's cause and her actions, and that we actually agree with Joel's death. Like, I feel like that is really, really rare. Like, I don't think that's something that's going to happen. I don't think they're going to, with how they've created these characters and their story with the first game, that they're going to be able to, within a number of hours, try to villainize these two characters enough to make it work. I don't think that's the case. But like I was saying, so the main problem that people have with this plot is that it feels very disrespectful to the first game's events, its relationships, its characters, and overall, it feels really disrespectful to the community. People don't like the story. People don't like the plot beats. People don't like the direction that Naughty Dog went in with this. That's the simple criticism that everybody has, or at least the majority of people have, about The Last of Us 2. Now, here's where a lot of people seem to get confused. At least from my perspective. This is my understanding. When people bring up about Abby potentially being a transgender, or when people bring up Ellie's sexuality, they talk about how she's gay or something. What people are saying is, people are not saying that because Abby could be a transgender or because Ellie is gay, people are not saying that those things is what makes the story bad. Because the truth is, a character having an adjective that describes them, like a character being a transgender or a character being gay, that doesn't inherently just make a story bad. You could have some really good characters who hold those two traits, or those two character traits. Those two things don't exactly just ruin a story. When you see people criticizing The Last of Us 2, and they're mentioning a lot of these things, like Abby being potentially a transgender or Ellie being gay, what people are trying to express is that they're concerned that the only reason why Naughty Dog has such a bad story for this game is because they set aside the quality for The Last of Us 2 story in order to prioritize having token minority characters in the game. Meaning that they decide to sacrifice the quality of the story so that they could add their token trans character, so that they could add Dina and try to focus heavily on their relationship, if that makes sense. People are not upset that these characters are gay or that these characters are transgender. They're concerned that maybe Naughty Dog sacrificed the quality of the story so that they can try and force these characters and include them in the game. Those are two different separate things. Playing as Abby shows us that Joel and Ellie aren't heroes. It shows us the bad side of Joel and Ellie. The good side of Abby, while playing as Ellie shows us the bad side of Abby and the good. I just don't know if I agree with that, you know? Like the first game already kind of establishes that Ellie and Joel are not heroes. Like, we make a bunch of questionable choices. We do a bunch of killing and stuff to survive in the first game. That message has already kind of been made clear to players. So nobody looks at Ellie and Joel and thinks that they're always like the greatest people and that they do no wrong. I think people still left... It's pretty obvious that the majority of people left the first game with a positive impression of these two characters. And I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Naughty Dog to take this positive impression that everybody has. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Naughty Dog to make it where they can villainize these two characters enough where instead of rooting for them like you were in the first game, now you're kind of rooting for their demise. Like, I think that's not likely going to happen. I feel like that's banking a lot I think that's based on like a lot of optimism. I don't know. Joel's actions at the end of the first game aren't exactly deemed right. Him becoming a bunch of doctors to keep his girl around when she could have stopped her apocalypse is morally questionable. That is true. Again, like the first game has already talked about a lot of these things, but like how the relationship was created and how the game plays out and all the moments you have between Ellie and Joel, like the game still allows the majority of people to leave with a very positive impression of these two characters. And I don't think that between the time of The Last of Us 2 starts and between the time that Abby shows up and kills Joel, I don't think they're going to be able to make you sympathize with Abby enough to be advocating for these characters' deaths. Like, I don't think this game is going to successfully make the player want Joel and Ellie die. I don't think they're going to make these two characters villainized enough, especially with how strong people feel about them from the first game. Is a lion bad because to survive it kills? I mean, I don't think anybody would say that. It's just we're just questioning like a lot of like morals and stuff like that. I love Joel, but him dying isn't too unreasonable. He killed Abby's father. It's messed up, but I get that coming around to bite him. So here's the thing. I've already talked about like how my ideal plot for The Last of Us 2 would be. I never said that none of the characters would die. In fact, I thought that it would have been a really great opportunity to kill Joel at the end of The Last of Us 2. I felt like that would be like a great end to Joel's character arc. For him to die at the end of The Last of Us 2 felt like it was a great spot to end his character arc. But it's about how the writers are doing it, right? It's about how we get from point A to point B in the story. And I don't agree, and the majority of us don't agree with like that direction they take it. It feels like the quality of the game is being diminished. Yeah, the game's plot is centered around the cycle of violence, which, can we just admit, this idea of the cycle of violence is not a really good, that's not a really good, what's it called? I feel like the plot being centered around the cycle of violence is a very weak story. Like, it's a very weak concept to base a story around. Because all it's kind of doing is making this journey that we've been on throughout this first game and the second game meaningless. It's kind of like, we made you care about some characters, now they're gonna die. Circle of violence, guys. It's a cycle of violence. You know, it's like that's not a really good concept to base a story off of. But regardless, let's just say that like Joel was to die. I wouldn't be against that. I think the way that they're carrying that out in the second game is pretty bad. I think he's dying too prematurely. I think he's dying in a very trivial way. I don't think the developers are treating his character as he deserves. He deserves to go out with style and not go out because some random character who's the daughter of an NPC that doesn't matter from the first game comes by and just beats him in the golf club. Beats him in the head with a golf club. It is cheap. You're right, Boxing Syndicate. It feels really cheap. It feels... That's where I'm getting from, where I say like it feels disrespectful to the characters and to the community. We deserve better than that. I mean, for Pete's sake, we literally went through the entire first game, taking out dozens upon dozens of enemies. Right? Like we literally go through so many people and kill them all. You're telling me Joel just gets killed by this random character that comes out of nowhere and beats him in the head with a golf club? Like, that's silly. The placement and the writing of all these things is so poorly written, which is why, again, I'm going to bring this up again. It's why people it's what people are misunderstanding. Like, people are upset about The Last of Us 2 because they're upset about the plot. And the only reason why you ever hear anybody bring up Ellie's sexuality, or why you hear people bring up what's it called, Abby's gender and whether or not she's a transgender or not, it's just because from all the patterns that we've seen by Neil Druckmann, with his behavior and his attitude towards like Anita, I think Sarkeesian's her last name, with all of his little like panels where he talks about his left-leaning political ideology, and how he's basically treated Amy, the previous writer for like Uncharted 4, who helped with the first Last of Us and written all the other stuff. And the way all these like horror stories we've even seen about like him firing employees who disagree with him politically. Like all these things lead to this pattern where it's like, it wouldn't be surprising that the only reason the story for the second game is going to kind of suck is so that Neil Druckmann could... It wouldn't surprise me or a ton of other people that the only reason why the game and the story for this game even sucks is so that they can insert these token characters. Because again, the truth is, there are great gay characters and transgender characters that could be out there. Being a transgender or being gay is not what inherently makes a story bad, but it's the principle that there's a good chance that Naughty Dog sacrificed the quality of this game so that they could add these token characters, so they can mark like, you know, those little boxes for diversity. That's what people are upset about. So people are not coming from like a homophobic or transphobic or sexist perspective. People are coming from just a passionate perspective who loved the first game and who are concerned that political ideology and a political agenda is what's making Naughty Dog sacrifice the quality of the second game. And that's what I think a lot of people misunderstand that. You had many years and millions of dollars to definitely come up with something better. That is true. I think my kind of like... I made a tweet a while ago. I kind of screenshotted like a comment I made on someone else's comment section. I posted on Twitter. It was kind of like a very surface level description of what I believe the foundation of The Last of Us 2's plot should have been. And I genuinely feel like that story I came up with, although there might be a few details people might disagree with here and there, I feel like that would have been significantly better. Like, I feel like the story for the second game should have been so obvious of where they should have taken it, but they didn't, and I just don't understand the creative choice behind that. Because here's the thing, and I want to get this point out there. I feel like, okay, so generally speaking, well, there are some people who are interpreting it as a phobic this way, but most of the reasonable people are wondering if they sacrifice a good story for other things. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to say, JJ. Thanks for simplifying it. People don't care that it's a transgender or Ellie's gay. People care that they only sacrifice the quality of the story to add those things into the story. It's not like being gay or transgender is what makes a story bad. They're just adjectives. They're just a description of a character. If you still remove those adjectives from a character, what's left is still a bad story. Like, even if like, even if Abby's just a regular female, supposedly, who maybe has a little bit of masculine features, and let's just say that Ellie was straight the entire time and she was dating like a male or something, the plot of the game is still bad. It's still bad. People are just concerned that the only reason why the quality of the plot is bad is because they wanted to add these token characters to scream diversity and representation. Which, by the way, I gotta say, you hit the nail in the coffin. Thanks, Syndicate. And here, I gotta say, I can't help but wonder if there would be any backlash like this if they would. I do. I think there would have been backlash, 100%. Not currently, obviously, but I think the moment the game released, if it's as disastrous as it's all building up to be, I would 100% think that this game is would still receive a lot of backlash. In fact, I think Neil Druckmann took over and rewritten the entire Uncharted 4 series, the entire Uncharted 4 game, and I think the Uncharted 4 game was considered to have a mediocre story after Neil Druckmann touched it. So, listen, I wouldn't be too confident about what would happen if this wasn't leaked. What was I going to say? Oh, I feel really bad for the LGBTQ community a little bit in this scenario, because I feel like they were almost taken advantage of for the sake of like marking diversity checkboxes. that now, instead of Naughty Dog being able to normalize these lifestyles, to be gay or to be a transgender, I feel like it's only hurting the movement. I feel like Naughty Dog has only hurt the movement because instead of normalizing it, now they've ruined a really good product. And now guess what? All of the blame for this product getting ruined, or the story of the product's going to get ruined, now all of the blame is going towards those communities. And I feel like it's setting back the what's it called, the progress that these communities have made back a few pegs. Like, all of this blame is going to go directly towards these people who never even asked, who never even asked for the developers to add these certain characters in the game. Again, being a transgender or being gay does not inherently make a story bad. But what does make the story bad is if you sacrifice the quality of the story so you can add your political agenda to the game. That's what I'm saying here. So I do feel bad for these communities because they try to work so hard to get people to be more accepting and to normalize these kind of things. And I feel like scenarios like this do the opposite effect of what they're trying to do, and it only hurts these communities more because now all of the blame is going back towards them. A good comparison is John Marston. It made sense and people accepted it, although people didn't particularly like it. So what I wanted to talk about before I actually get off here, I wanted to talk about how shady this whole, like, okay, I'll start off by saying this. Generally speaking, I will never advocate for a developer or anybody of any kind to go out and leak things. Like, I would generally say that nobody should just go out leaking things, whether it's a movie, whether it's a video game, whether it's anything. Generally speaking, I'm not for leaking things because it does not really benefit the leaker, and it definitely does not. Normally it never benefits the community or audience either, because it just spoils things. It ruins the story for some people who already know what's going to happen. And like in Naughty Dog's case, I don't really believe them that this was a hacker. I think it was pretty obvious that it's a disgruntled employee. But in this case, if there was a disgruntled employee who's having a payment dispute, it's pretty obvious that leaking is definitely not helping their case. So that being said, at the same time, generally I would disagree with people leaking. I almost felt like this game was a good game to get leaked, because I feel like the marketing of this game has been very manipulative, like, and very shady. Like, you really need to think about something real quick. When you think about a sequel to anything, what do you normally think of when you think of a sequel? When you think of a sequel, you normally think of, or at least let's talk about more specifically about like video game sequels. When you think about a sequel for a video game, you normally think about a few things. You normally think of a continuation of the characters in the previous game story. You normally think of a very similar and innovated upon structure, with gameplay mechanics being innovated on, with the plot of the story being not the same but kind of similar. When you see The Last of Us Part 1, or when people see The Last of Us Part 2, the number one thing that you were expecting was a similar structure to The Last of Us 1, and you were expecting a continuation of Joel and Ellie's characters. And I feel like if these leaks didn't come out, so many people would have bought this game expecting a good sequel, and they would have gotten something that they were completely unhappy with. I think it's kind of crazy that a lot of the marketing material for this game and all the trailers was showing specifically Ellie and Joel, making people believe that they were going to be the main focal point of the entire second sequel. And I find it really weird that they call it The Last of Us Part 2. And then what they do behind the scenes is have a story where the main character gets killed off in a very horrible fashion, and then they force the players to play as the character who killed the main protagonist, and then play as that character to go off and try to hunt down and kill the last remaining protagonist that you care about. That sounds pretty scummy. That sounds pretty bad to me. Like, I don't know how. That feels kind of that feels pretty horrible. I also had something else I was going to say. Something else that's pretty important. Here's the thing. I don't know if this is true, but this is kind of what's crossing my mind. Part of me is almost feeling like Naughty Dog is trying to treat The Last of Us IP almost like it's the Walking Dead IP. This is what I mean by that. Not Telltale's The Walking Dead. I mean like the Walking Dead TV show, right? And let me explain. When you think of The Last of Us, you generally think Ellie and Joel. Because the first game focused so much on only one or two individuals the entire time, had some other characters come and go, but it was mainly focused on the relationship of one or two characters the entire time, Ellie and Joel. The Last of Us TV show, for example, not The Last of Us TV show, The Walking Dead as a TV show, that TV show is focused on a group. It's focused on a whole assortment of characters. And the thing is about The Walking Dead that people eventually have grown tired of is that The Walking Dead kills all the characters during moments it needs to, and it always is reintroducing new characters. It's in like a constant cycle of killing the old and bringing in the new. So what I'm trying to say is The Walking Dead's IP is very vague, because when you think The Walking Dead, you don't normally think of any specific character, because The Walking Dead never really focuses on one or two characters. The Walking Dead focuses on like a wide variety of characters. It feels like The Last of Us is doing the same thing, whereas like The Last of Us is focused on one or two characters, but they're trying to like broaden the title and almost make it seem like a genre where it's like, no, The Last of Us isn't about Ellie and Joel. It's about all these characters that we want to bring into the story. Because again, they're treating the Ellie and Joel and a lot of these main characters in The Last of Us as like they're interchangeable. So it almost feels like The Last of Us, where it's about Ellie and Joel, is trying to become like The Walking Dead, where The Last of Us is just becoming more of a vague title name where they can throw in whatever story and whatever characters that they want and replace the main protagonist. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, normally when you think of a sequel, you think of a continuation of the previous characters' stories. You think about an innovated upon, but yet similar structure to the first game, because again, you're getting a sequel to something that you've already experienced. So you're expecting kind of like the same or very similar, but better. And I think it was pretty scummy to have a lot of the marketing material focus around Ellie and Joel's characters, focus around showing all these different things that make you think it's going to be a good sequel, but then they pull like the rug out from underneath you, and there's like, hey, we're going to kill all the main characters. Hey, we're going to focus on this character you don't even care about that just murdered the main character. Yeah, you're going to play that one for the whole second half of the game. Let's see how that one plays out. Like, it feels like, simple terms, it feels like they advertised one story in the sequel, but then are forcing you to play a whole other story that you are not expecting from a sequel. When you thought The Last of Us 2, you thought of a continuation of Ellie and Joel's characters, not Abby's story. Wow, that was a lot longer than I thought. So, I think I'll end off this stream by playing the trailer one last time. I think I've kind of got all of my thoughts out. I hope nothing offended anyone. I hope everybody can get a better understanding of like my perspective and my opinions on things, and I hope that we can maybe come to an agreement. If you have enjoyed the stream, I would always appreciate a thumbs up, because we all know that after this video comes out, after this live stream ends, it's going to get hit with some dislikes. A lot of the people, regardless, still are going to support everything that Naughty Dog and Sony does, even if it's blatantly wrong, but that's fine. We're going to watch this trailer. For the last time.
I know you wish things were different. I wish things were different. Ellie! But they ain't.
stop.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
To do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
So they just get to get away with this?
How'd you find us?
You can't stop this.
I want what you want. But not at any cost. I really hope you make it.
I have to finish it.
There's a cost.
We could have killed you. Maybe you should have.
Wow, okay. Still the release date on June 19th. So if anybody is still curious about the release day of this game, it is still going to be June 19th. I don't want to discourage people. You still want to buy the game to buy it. But if you do agree and have any issues or similar opinions to I do, and you don't want to buy the game, I don't blame you for that. I think it's very reasonable. And almost maybe the right decision in this scenario to not buy the game, but if you still want to buy the game, it's fine. I'm probably going to buy the game myself just so I can play it. I guess I can end off the stream by saying I do wish, or I am crossing my fingers. I'm hoping for the best. I'm setting my expectations kind of low, okay? I'm not, for the story, I'm not really setting my expectations that high. So yeah, I'm probably going to be playing The Last of Us 2 on the channel when it comes out. Take my time with that. I don't know if later today, in a couple hours, or if maybe tomorrow. But one of these days this week, I'm going to be playing, replaying actually, The Last of Us 1 Left Behind DLC. We're going to finish that up and get that up on the channel at some point. I hope that everybody has enjoyed themselves in the stream. I want to thank you. Even if you end up walking away with disagreeing with my opinions or my thoughts, I want to still thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate having these kind of discussions and stuff. The stream kind of went longer than I actually it's like kind of like predicted or assumed it would. I was just going to react, say some things about the trailer at the end, but you know me. I'm Mac. I just go off on like 500 tangents where I go off in like 500 million different topics and repeat myself 100 times. But yeah, it's gonna be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching the stream. If you guys, of course, enjoyed, smack the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you are feeling a little bit fancy, you can always hit the notification bell. Yeah, this game is interesting. I'm obviously gonna be hoping for the best, but we're going to have to see when it comes out. So yeah, my name is Mac. I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.